Greetings, scholars! I am so excited to give you an engineer's approach to Iron Man vs. Captain America. This is where most YouTubers would probably start giving some random background, and if you're lucky, they narrow it down to a contest with a few categories and basically treat it like a boxing match. But without setting parameters, constraints, and requirements, this is basically like shooting in the dark. So what do we need in our hero? Let's assume Cap and Iron Man both pass the requirements for superhero-dom, since without this, they would basically be disqualified immediately. The human race needs their heroes to have powerful, positive, and long-lasting impact. We'll call this their legacy. The hero needs to have a strong character as well, a character that inspires us to give a crap about him and his story. Of course, these superheroes need to know how to win a battle every once in a while. Winston Churchill himself said there comes a time when every man must fight for what he believes in. And let's be honest, the powers also need to be cool enough for geeks to have some way to apply the stuff they learned in their AP classes. So how do we rank these? Let's look at the philosophical principle of inversion and decide which characteristics we could not live without. I think the coolness of the powers is least important. I mean, there are real-life superheroes without any powers. Combat abilities are definitely next on the list to drop. I mean, without character and a legacy, a good fighter may basically do more harm than good. For my fellow math nerds, this is kind of like having a lot of magnitude in a vector but putting it in the wrong direction. Character and legacy are pretty close, but I'd have to go with legacy as the most important, since it has more of a long-term impact. So now that we've ranked these attributes, let's fill out our decision matrix, and I'll put some weights in based on the importance of each trait. Oh crap, I forgot the Video Elite Challenge. Was Nick Cage a runner-up for the spot of Iron Man or Captain America? Okay, let's start with the coolness of the powers, and I'm basing this off how innovative they are and how realistic they are. I mean, sure, Iron Man can fly above Mach 2 and destroy tanks, but to me the impressive thing is the integration of all his power systems, weapons, and software. The arc reactor technology basically exists. MIT is developing an arc reactor with a 10.8 foot diameter that generates 500 megawatts and costs over $1 billion. Tony's innovation was to make it smaller. A magnetic field keeps the plasma, semiconductors, and hull of the reactor separate from each other. Otherwise, some serious instabilities can occur. Obviously, this gets a lot more difficult as the reactor gets smaller. Tony's also generates 3 gigawatts, which is 6 times as much as the MIT reactor. And also, he built this in a cave with a box of scraps. So, let's talk about control systems. Jarvis, Tony's computing system, flexes computational muscle at the end of Iron Man 3. Minor spoiler alert. He controls about 35 Iron Man suits while keeping tabs on about 30 humans as well as the terrain in a shipping yard. So he's basically acting as a GPS plus a decision engine plus 35 uplinks, downlinks, and avionics system simultaneously. This can get really hairy really quick. Just to give you some perspective, for my capstone project at the Academy, we're working on a way to sync 1 F-22 to 4 unmanned companions, and even with state-of-the-art communications technology, this can be a major design problem. So you can only imagine how hard it is for Jarvis. Honestly, once power and control systems are taken care of, the flying, weapons, and super strength seem pretty easy to me. Let's look at Cap. His powers are the result of a super soldier serum, but this isn't far away from reality either. There are actually chains of repetitively branched molecules called dendromeres that will break up when exposed to UV light. Marvel calls it Vita rays, but it's basically the same idea. The serum stops the buildup of fatigue poisons by speeding up metabolism. Basically, it allows Cap to convert lactic acid back to glucose much more quickly than a normal person can. This is why he can run a mile in 73 seconds. Keep in mind that without fatigue, Cap's brain is more effective as well, which improves his reactions and tactical capabilities. It's also incredible that his powers don't run out, but this also isn't science fiction. Biologist Brian Casper has tested a shot that targets and destroys myostatin. Casper claims that without myostatin, muscles are free to grow, and he says the process takes about 6 weeks to show significant growth, so the superhero serum is basically just Dr. Casper's shot on steroids, pun intended. Much like Tony's powers, the Captain's powers are basically just a more elegant and effective solution to an existing technology. Honestly, the two are really close in this category. I mean, Iron Man's powers seem more innovative, but Cap's seem more realistic. I'm going to rate these on a 1 to 3 scale. 1 would be expected for the average person, 2 is clearly above average, and 3 is the best a person can possibly achieve. I have to give them both 3 out of 3 since clearly no one has achieved this super capability, but it seems very possible. Stick around for part 2. We're going to go over the legacy and character of each hero and answer that Video Elite question. Like and subscribe.